let's talk about one of the most desirable smartwatches in the used market. One of those watches that people still to this day, when it's couple generations old, are having a hard time to let it go. And I'm talking about a 200 series watch, not the 900, not the 700. Yes, a 200 series Garmin Forerunner watch that shook the market when it came out because of something that they integrated, or was it multiple factors? Was it the shape that they all of a sudden made certain adjustments to? Or was it the screen that is more vibrant now? Is it the music capabilities or something else? Is it the quality of the back of this watch? Is it that every single one of them now comes with the heart rate monitoring sensor and other sensors, unlike the 230 and 235? Or is it something else? Why people won't let these go? Why this is one of those fewer models that is actually going up in value? Yes, going up in value rather than climbing down. Why people have a hard time letting it go? Why do I always have one of these, especially a clean version like this, stacked up somewhere that is super unique because it's the music one for that special person when I get invited to his birthday or her birthday? Let's go over it. My name is Rod and I like smartwatches, and my goal is to kind of give you guys a better overview of smartwatches that are out there, because I have a good amount of inventory that I can get my hands through, and I would love you guys to have a better idea when you're trying to pull the trigger on a used smartwatch, and sometimes new ones, okay? So stick through this video, let's go over this guy, and I will talk to you guys about the aesthetics of this watch, the user interface, the charging capabilities, and what has been my experience as a user for the past year and a half. All right, so we're gonna start with the shape of these watches, different models of them, and kind of walk through what was my experience with them, wearing them now for multiple years, and specifically what I've seen people are looking for when they're buying it from me. All right, so we have three of them here, and there is something special about two of them, okay? Either it can be these two or those two, which we're gonna go over and make them a little bit more desirable, all right? And something that visually you will be able to kind of guess if you are looking for that specific mod. All right, so what I'm talking about. So these watches are a little bit more popular among the runners because Garmin started to offer them in music editions, or basically adding the music option. Okay, and a lot of people are looking for them. And so in this case, the two on the right, so the black on black and the black on blue, are the music one, and the black on purple is not. So this question often pops up: how do I know which one is the music version? So you turn the watch around and you see the music here. If it is a regular model, you turn the watch around and you do not see that music writing here at all. Okay, so that's one of the easiest way for you to kind of figure it out. What a great timing, it's gonna update itself. But regardless, and one other thing that I've noticed is that often with Garmin music models, you have some sort of a boldness in the accent colors, such as you see this accent indicating here this blue, light blue, which obviously matches the band as well, but it's a little bit more standing out than the regular Garmin. You see the 245 basically And this one is silver. It's not standing out that much. A similar thing applies with the middle one, which is also the music version. We can see that the accent color is a little bit more bold, which also indicates it's the music one. One of the watches that I ever come across, which actually was this color combination, I think it either was probably the later model, because the writing here was very different. And here it says Forerunner, and then 245 was very small, like almost taking this much, and the music on a little box, very small, basically font right next to it. So that's the only thing that I've seen which was usual for the music ones, and one case that was unusual. All right, so let's go over the case, let's go over the color combination, and let's go over why majority of people want this watch. Does it have anything to do with aesthetics? Does it have anything to do with the way it looks? Obviously, I think it does. I think it does, and I will tell you as a user perspective, this watch sits very comfortably on the back of my hand, and when I wear it in compared to like a 235 or even like a 935. Okay, so these are some of the watches that are from the same era, but this one, because it has a smaller profile and smaller diameter, it just sits so much better on the back of my wrist, and I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be honest, I really appreciate it. It makes it one of the go-to applications that I kind of wanna have and basically wear. In addition to that, I really like the texture of the band. The band is nothing, I would say, that unique in the Garmin world, but it has its own patterns. It has its own shape with the band holder, which makes it a little bit more unique, but again, nothing too extraordinary. Probably if you are within the Forerunner series, you will see this band, but it's very easy if you want to replace it, which is something else that I like, and I appreciate Garmin thinking about the users, because you just pull this level to the opposite direction, which will be that side, and then you take the band off and put the new one in, which they actually have been very consistent with majority of their models into giving this ability to the users to kind of take care of this process, which is actually what I did, believe it or not. So in this case, this band is brand new aftermarket, and that's exactly what I did. I literally put it on this watch as something that I really enjoyed, and all I did was match the accent color of the screen to, or the homepage to the band, which is purple, you can see, and I think it's a really nice feature. The third factor that we want to talk about, in addition to the diameter and the fit on the back of my wrist, as an average size male wrist, or maybe a little bit smaller, I think another factor is the quality of the materials. I mean, the sensor is just, yes, it's plastic. Yes, the case is plastic. We're not talking about something special, but it's high quality. Like when it sits on my hand, I really don't feel anything from a lower quality model like recycled plastic or something like that is touching my screen or irritated, even though there are some users over and over complaining about having like a mark on their hand from wearing the Garmin devices for too long, but I never had this problem. And again, I just love the way it sits, and it feels really good on the back of my hand. Well, if you're looking at the screen, I think this is another reason that a lot of people are still going for it, because if you're going a generation older, something like a 35 series or 235 series, we can see that they pretty much removed every color possible to give the user that battery advantage. Let's call it like that, right? And so that means you mostly have black and white working against one another with occasional red colors for the heart rate, which in this case it doesn't even have it. Okay, and in this generation, the 235 is pretty similar. 235 will be, for those of us who don't know, a generation before the 245 and 245 music, but it will be basically the similar ideology as the Forerunner 35. Again, maybe like one or two color barely can be seen. But when you look at the screen of the 245, and the reason I think it's still relevant in the watch world, and um, basically something that people still are willing to pay 120 to, some of the music ones are now selling for 140 to 160, and still the high demand that this watch carries over stays on the basically smartwatch market is due to the screen, because in this screen you don't just have like one color or two color that they've added. You actually have all the colors that you can basically adjust and have into the home screen integrated. All right, and in this case, like, we can see the red here, and then we can see the blue here, which obviously matches with the band. And you can basically go on to the watch face and replace the screen and add even more colors to it. Okay, let's do that in here with watch face, and then you get all these different faces, which all are beautiful in my opinion. And then yeah, you can just basically say customize and change the color, accent color, to anything you want. And you can see that now these are changing to whatever color that one wants to choose. Let's say green, yellow, orange, and yada yada yada. Okay, so yeah, I think that's another factor. It's like the screen of this watch is still very relevant in compared to what is out there with regards to the smartwatches. And it's not only relevant, but it does what the user needs. And I want to kind of pause here and tell you guys what do I mean exactly by that, by actually grabbing the beast itself. Okay, it wasn't planned. It just bumped into my mind to kind of discuss that with you guys, because as a Salvi user, as somebody who really uses his watch and basically all the technologies that it offers, and being in this business for a couple of years now, I mean, this is the Phoenix 8. This is the Godfather. This is the ultimate version of these watches that you can go to, right? But here's the thing, and it has a beautiful AMOLED screen, and it's so nice to work with because now it's touch screen versus the button usage, which we're gonna come back to it. But honestly, as a user, I don't care about all those extra um, colors. I don't care about that high quality resolution screen that I'm provided with here. Yes, it's so nice. Yes, I'm extremely thankful that I can't even get my hands on such a beast and wear it and enjoy this screen, but it's not necessary. It's really not necessary. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, this is too little, just having the black and white, even though it's workable still. But this is where it's supposed to be. That's like the reasonable, I don't know, to me at least, that's like a reasonable level of color, resolution, and the information quality that I need from this watch, from a watch, a smartwatch that is going to track my steps, my calories, my heart rate. And this is enough amount of sensors to have. Yes, it does not do the EDA scan or ECG scan that a lot of watches, especially from other companies, now offer and consider it as advanced. But that's more than enough for me. That is more than enough for me. That's why majority of the watches that I have, it's either in, or I'm keeping and not selling, are basically in this era or a generation after, such as Phoenix 6 Pro or 6 Pro Solar. I really am a huge fan of those watches, or even 255. 255, I had a problem with it sitting on my hand because of the case was a little bit larger. But overall, I think these are the two generations, the 245, the 255, the Phoenix 6, the Phoenix 7. 7 again, I think it's a little bit extra, but Phoenix 6, Phoenix 5 Plus, maybe. These are the ones that I want to keep because I think it's just enough. Because I don't think I have the use for more than this. And again, the case size of this watch, the quality of everything together, the easiness of replacing the band, it just gives me the peace of mind that this is something I want to use. I really enjoy it, and I'm gonna go back to it. Even though it's not my primary watch, but I want to keep it. Okay? And I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of people go for it. And because I have a smaller wrist, right? Small to medium male size wrist, which basically cooperates with regards to a lot of females' wrist size that are active. I think that's why females don't mind wearing these models, wearing the 245 because of the aesthetics. I mean, obviously you have the light blue matching. You can throw in a beautiful band like that and it will still go with it. Or even if you are really the industrious person, you can just roll with the black with something like this, red popping out, or black with a silver accent. So from an aesthetics perspective, I think that's the reason a lot of people would still go for a 245. And I would make an argument, it's enough. Yes, it's enough in 2026. And it's more than enough for a lot of users, including myself. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm some sort of a really savvy person, that I'm gonna use all the information given to me when I go to all the settings and all the information provided. No, I'm not. Okay, but I think it's enough for me, and it's more than enough for a lot of people. Now let's go through the user interface now that we talked about the aesthetics. All right, so I think the best feature that these watches come with is the adjustability of the home screen, especially with regards to the data that you can adjust in order to show you exactly what you want to see, where you want to see that. Unfortunately, you don't get that customization even with Forerunner devices that are lower models, such as Forerunner 45. You only can change the screen, but you can't necessarily change the data, okay? And I really enjoyed it, and I think it's useful. When it comes to the buttons, you have two on the left, top ones that have dual functionality, but you have three in general. And on the right, you have two buttons, which the top one has a dual functionality, but the bottom one doesn't. Unfortunately, unlike other Garmin devices, if they have a dual functionality, they often have icons or writings on the bezel and on the buttons, something different. But you don't get that here. Okay, so in this case, the top right buttons is your activity button, which takes you to the activity that you want, and you can choose your favorites, so you don't have to go through the plus sign and to find your activity every time. And then once you choose that, it will act again as an enter or OK button or select button, where you can just like click on it again and it will select it. And this function will be the same throughout the watch, okay? So let's say we go on a setting, we want to choose watch face, we just press that and it takes us there. So it kind of acts as a enter. The back button is the one below it. You have the indicators here and here. And this one is a single function, so it takes you back to the previous page or the home page. Top left, which I think the first function is pretty stupid. You have the light function, which basically turns the screen on and off, right? We can see that here. I think it's very stupid, but the second function is basically takes you to the quick setting where you can change the setting of the wall. I'm sorry, the icons and the functionality to what you like. Okay, so these doesn't have to stay like that, but more importantly, you get access to some of the functions super quickly that you might need, such as a timer, stopwatch, turning the watch off or on, lock, finding your phone, and yada yada yada. Okay, and then the second dual functionality, or the last one, is the mid one, which is the most important one. On the screen it says up, but in here you hold it and it takes you to the setting in which you can get access to a lot of factors, right? But what I usually jump in here for is the watch face, again, because I love to change the watch face and I love to change the data for it to show me exactly what I'm looking for, okay? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Throughout the watch, you have multiple screens, which, to be honest, if I have this thing set up beautifully, I don't bother really go through them other than one screen, which we're going to go over. So you have, unfortunately, you don't have a touch screen, which I actually adopted myself to really like it. But they try to adopt it on some of the later models of their watches. Okay, even with the Forerunner is the same case. You don't hear, so you have to use the up and down buttons on here. So you go to a different page which shows your activity for this week. Basically gives you some data, and then on here your history, which is pretty much similar, but I love these bar charts on the last 30 days and which days you've been active for how many hours. And then you get this music page, which you do not get on the regular one. On the regular one is way more simple than the music version. And you get the calendar notification page, right? This is directly getting updated from your phone. And you have the weather data, basically showcasing again directly from your phone, which I often don't let it pull that information from my phone, so that's why we never get information here. And then this is my go-to. This is one of those only pages that I always check, okay? Because this basically sums up all your notification in it. So Gmail, voicemail, text message, call, calendar, everything pops up here. And I love it. Love, love, love it. Because especially when I'm at work, I don't want to get distracted by turning on my phone or going through my phone, because then I will do other stuff. This saved me a lot of time and focus. Then we have SPO2, which I never use. Your day, how much calories you burn, how many steps, how many miles, how much you've been active, heart rate, stress level, body battery, which if you don't know what body battery is, you need to go to Garmin website. It's pretty cool. And your training status for that specific day, because I haven't been wearing the watch, so obviously these are all blank. And another thing that we should quickly go over is the music function. So on the non-music models, you still get the same page. It doesn't look like this, but you will get basically tools to control the music on your phone, like play button, skip, go to the previous one, stuff like that, right? But with this one, the music ones, the ones that majority of people are after, you get the ability to get access to the music offline. So it can be either through Spotify that you previously logged in, or it can be through uploading the musics onto your watch and just listen to it when you go for a run or for a walk. And that will eliminate the use or the need for you to use your basically phone with that activity, which a lot of people love, me included, but I've never used it, to be honest. because I normally have to take my phone with me. So that's a quick basically user guide, and I told you guys what are the ones that I normally use and what are the ones I don't.